Because my goal is to make sure that I answer your questions. You don't have to be available live, just like this. If you weren't able to watch this live, you're able to download it later. Okay, we have an account page where you can log in, you can download all of the past episodes, and you can also submit questions prior to the show, all right, prior to the live training. I'll be taking some questions that were submitted prior to live training, prior to going live, and I'll also take questions during the live training. Okay, so it's like you don't have to think that it's not like one of the drive-through thing where, like, people in the drive-through get get precedent, all right, and get more love. No, we're going to take some of the questions submitted and also do some that are live as well. Okay. And then also, if you haven't taken a look, take a look at Drums with Willie. This is something brand new. Drums with Willie, we're running a special right now. I'm not going to talk about it any more than that for right now. You'll hear me talk about it more on Friday and Saturday. But Drums with Willie, brand new site. Mike Marble, fantastic drummer and a really great teacher. He's a real great guy to work with. Has a lot of love and passion for teaching music and the drums, and we're really lucky to have him on board. So take a look, drumswithwillie.com, brand new site that we're releasing right now. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I see a lot of stuff about practicing. Like I start practice with scales and Hanon to warm up and build up fingers. What would be good to practice is a daily routine after that. So, from Scott. I also see, so I've seen some other stuff on practicing. Your daily routine, I'm going to give myself a shameless plug here. The daily routine is really this Piano with Willie method. It really does work. Now, just to kind of let you know where we're heading with this, we're going to make it so that the assessment really gets fleshed out, and we're going to give you like a 8-week practice program, right? An 8-week routine to follow, saying, hey, look, do these lessons from my side, and then not just do these lessons, but give you some, some text of like, okay, this is what you should be focusing on, this is what you should be working on, right? And then structure your 8 weeks like that. So this is something that we're, continually working on. So stay tuned on that. You're gonna hear more about that 22-point assessment. For now, what you should do is, like, you're doing warm-ups and Hanon, something to build up the fingers. Well, one of the best things to build up your fingers is playing. All right. Now, I'm not trying to be cheeky here, but the more that you're playing, that's great. A lot of times, I think that we get confused as students in that thinking that, all right, how do I build up my fingers? The question really within there is, how do I become more fluid with my hands and with my fingers, okay? Because oftentimes, if you could do Hanon, your fingers are probably strong enough, right, at that point. If you could do that, your fingers are probably strong enough. But now we have dexterity, right? And then with dexterity is fingering, right? So I'm going to give you 2 fantastic exercises, and I'm also going to give you a DVD that I would check out. One fantastic exercise is doing the chromatic scale, okay? Because a chromatic scale helps to build in a lot of chromaticism into your playing. So if you're used to playing these scales like this, really you have these scales of whole steps and half steps. But chromatic scale is really just half steps. So you could start on any note, and then fingering wise, I'm going 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1. Right? That's all in my right hand. 3, 2, 1. And that's the same finger that I use in my left hand. 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay? So 3 to 1 when it's a black note to a white note, right? And then when I have these sections, I do 3, 2, 1. Okay? So 3, 2, 1 in the left hand, and then 1, 2, 3 in the right hand. So just working on your chromatic scale. Now I can go from right hand to left hand. Now this would be good. Also, sit lower. I'm sitting really high right now, okay, because I want to make sure that I'm not like sitting down like this when I'm, you know, on video with you, okay, so you can see me a little bit better, right? But I would sit a little bit lower. Usually I make it so that my elbow is a little bit below the key. So like if that's the key, my elbow is somewhere in the middle, maybe at the bottom of the key bend, okay? So your chromatic scale. And then what you could do is you could get into some nice, kind of interesting improvisational ideas with this. So like left hand, I could just kind of go up and down with my chromatic scale. So, you know, just like trying to like just mess around, like going up and down in the right hand, going up and down in the left hand, but I'm not just going up and down the same, you know? I mean, sure, practice this, but remember that that's not where you end. You may start there, but now you can always expand upon it. That's just like, you know, this is not where you start and end with your major scales, all right? There's a lot of other stuff that you can do beyond that, right? So, so that's one thing, right? Practicing chromaticism, right? I would also then start to do free-form improvisation. Now, this is difficult for a lot of students to do, but this is where I'm literally playing anything, any note, any combination of notes. Sometimes it's going to sound neat, sometimes it's going to sound absolutely horrible. But what it does is stretches my mind, and more importantly, it stretches my fingers so that now when I'm trying to like get to a different section, like my mind says, hey, go there, but then my fingers say, go there. We've all had that problem, right? You know, so now I'm trying to get my mind and my fingers to, boom, agree with one another, okay? So that's something like this. So I can kind of get into almost like a walking bass line kind of feel. You can kind of like, you know, fake around a walking bass line. So you see how I'm able to come up with stuff, and even though it is not technically correct, whatever technically correct would be in this situation, you can hear that now what am I doing? You're already hearing the expression of what it is that I'm playing, because I'm getting my dynamics in there. I'm like really working that rhythm. I'm working the articulation, right? So now what I hope that you see is that this goes beyond just working technique, right? This also brings in, again, our core belief of the self-expression, right? Because like you gotta, like my band instructor when I was in high school told me the best thing that really any musician has ever told me, okay? And it stuck with me all my life. And that is, you have to go beyond the music in order to touch someone in the audience, right? And it's absolutely true. If I just like think this, okay, and I think like this is where it begins and this is where it ends, I just gotta hit the right notes. And I know for many of you, that's the first order of business, is just hitting the right notes. But I'm here to tell you that that is so minuscule in the big scheme of things, okay? Let me give you a different example. Right now I'm using words, okay? Is my getting all of the right words what's most important right now? So are you listening to me right now and saying, oh, no, he said it, like that grammatically, that wasn't really a good word that he said. Or are you cluing into my passion, right? Because I bet you're probably cluing into that passion. That passion is what is able to take something like, I'm able to say to you, hey, look, practice those scales. Don't forget about your major scales. You know, there's a lot of other stuff that you can do with your major scale that you may not have thought of. Now, there's a lot different than practice your major scales. Don't forget about your major scales. There's a lot of other stuff that you probably haven't thought of that you can do with your major scales. Right? Same words, but a completely different message going on. when I'm really like taking what I believe in my core being and I am putting it out there to you, I'm expressing it to you, now it becomes something different. The same exact thing happens with the notes that you play. So if you're just trying to hit the right notes, I hate to break it to you, you're never going to get the right notes all the time. You're always going to make mistakes. You are a human being. Unless this is a computer bot watching me and it's all programmed, you will always make mistakes. Okay? And the beautiful thing is that you will always make mistakes. Have you ever listened to computer music? So often, it's perfect. You know, it can always play fast. It can, kind of get a little bit of emotion. But the thing is that there's no chance of failure. There's no chance of failure and redemption, like hitting a wrong note, but then, got back up. I saw this video at a conference I was at. This young girl, this beautiful video, I got to find it. This young girl, in a race, she falls in the race, in just like 4 laps around. This girl gets back up and wins that race. I'll tell you, I was brought to tears. And I'm not like saying that to oh, yeah. No, I literally was brought to tears. Thinking about my kids and my daughters, it's like that, good for her, right? That's what we're talking about here. So that's what you bring into your practice, right? If it's just about okay, what am I going to do technically today? Then guess what? This instrument's going to be boring, right? It's like you might as well just type, right? You want to bring in that self-expression. Those 2 exercises I just showed you is a good way. Now for advanced players, let me tell you something. One of the best things you can do, practice hands together 2 octaves apart or an octave apart. Free form improvisation. You see how difficult it is. It starts to get tough. Now you want another challenge? Try doing all consistent 8th notes. Same kind of exercise, consistent 8th notes. I mess up, not even in the first, I'm not even out of the first measure and I already mess up. That's challenging, okay? Especially sitting so high. But anyway, that's a great exercise right there. That's going to stretch your ears. It's going to stretch your what you're doing fingering-wise. That's going to improve your dexterity as well because now your brain and your hands are going to get together a little bit more. This is what I call that brain-body disconnect, all right? So you have your brain. Your brain is telling you all okay, these are the right notes and this is what you play, da-da-da-da-da-da, all right? But then you also have your body. Your body has to play these notes, okay? And your body that's where all the feeling comes from, right? So we want to try and bridge that gap. So the more we can do exercises like this that are creative yet also mentally heavy lifting, right? We're going to start to come together a little bit more with our mind and our body, right? All right, so I got time for one more question. I have a question here from Daniel, how to apply chromaticism and diminished licks and scales to improv. I have many licks that I usually play that many pianists are wowed at, but I'm never sure if I'm apply it in the right way. I play them when I'm playing out or if I'm playing over a diminished chord. That's better for that's better for our advanced level training, which is going to be on Friday afternoon. But what I would say is, one thing I would tell you is that, and it took me a while to realize this, is start to think less about is it right, okay? Go by how does it sound? How does it feel? Do you like the sound of it? Now I understand that you want to understand more of what you're doing, and that's fantastic. That's great. You definitely want to do that. I would suggest that you do that, right? Not seeing the lick, I'm not sure exactly what it is that you're playing. But this is where you could take a lick and then now break it down and start to analyze it. So we shouldn't believe that... This is where, I say I'm only going to take one more question. I have another question. All right, but this is where, when I was first learning, you know, you've probably seen it before, like if you're an advanced level player or an intermediate player, you see in the back of the books, like it says C7, and it says you could use this scale, and this scale, and this scale, and this scale, right? That always bugged me. That even bugged me in high school, to be honest with you. Because I always felt like, really? That's all that music is? So I just look at a chord and it tells me, oh, well, hey, you can use one of these 6 or 7 scales. I'm here to tell you that that is not what music is. Okay? You can use any note on any chord. The most important thing that you have to consider, okay? Because if I'm saying like, oh yeah, you got C7 and like, you know, you got a B natural on there. Well, I mean, come on. Yeah, of course that's not going to work, right? Because at that point, what is it that I'm doing? I'm just being silly at that point, okay? Because I'm not really thinking through where I'm starting from and where I'm trying to go. But now, what if I use that as a passing tone? Okay? So now, is that lick? Is that lick right or wrong? I don't know. I like the sound of it. And then, quite honestly, that's all I care about. I like the sound of it. Now, if I start to analyze it, this is kind of interesting, that chromaticism, chromatic approach to the 5, to the 3rd, and then to the flat 9. And this is like just chromaticism, straight chromaticism down, right? Okay. Now, from here, I could decide, oh, maybe let me go into like my half-whole diminished scale. Alright, so I could do some kind of lick like that or whatnot, and that's fine. Or I can, you know, do a whole tone. Okay. So there, this is where the board will help. So I have my, let's just call it C7 chord, right? And over here, rather than writing in specific notes, let's just say that I'm doing this. So I got C7, and in here I had kind of like a free form idea, all right? Just going to say free. And then what I can do is, okay, well now let me come into a stock scalar idea. And this is where I did my half-whole diminish, or I did a whole tone idea, okay? But now, in this free-form idea, I'm putting in notes that I guess would be considered, you know, avoid notes, that B natural. But here I'm thinking about it, chromaticism. And what I'm doing is that in this, I'm like getting into these, you know, these, well, I could say landmarks or guideposts, but I'm getting into these points within the chord that I'm targeting, okay? So I have my target notes. And what were those target notes? I went down, do, I went down to that G, and I went to the E, right? And then I went to the D flat. Now what are those? That's the 5th, the 3rd, and the flat 9 on this chord. Chord tone, available tension, okay? So, and now, technically, if we were to like analyze this in a school, you know, a collegiate program, it would be wrong to like have that A flat on the downbeat, right? See how? There's my down. Right? But now, personally, I don't mind the sound of that. Right? And I'm perfectly happy to say, yeah, you know what? That's what I want to play. Okay? Because I like the sound of that. Now, in a situation like this, where it's like, okay, it's more, you know, it's not, well, it is live, but, you know, in a situation in which I could, like, break it down, like, okay, now I could say, all right, well, maybe I don't want to do that, you know, maybe I don't want that on the downbeat, so now I can start to change around. Let's see, how can I change around? That's going to do the same thing. I can do that. Hey, you know what? I can do this. I can do that, so I can have that as my downbeat. So there's my downbeat there as well. right? And I can start to write that out. Now maybe I say, let me instead do eighth notes. Yeah, I could do it. Okay, here we go. So now I have the downbeat on the G and on the E, right? Right, now do I like that sound better? That's where I can make the decision. But the point is that rather than getting so bound up with like, well, what scale is it that I'm playing, now I can have some more freedom in my improvisation, and I'm thinking about, well, where do I want to go? I was thinking, okay, G, right? So now I get those notes. That's my target. Now if I'm playing a line in here and that line is just kind of like geeky, it sounds like all weird and like, you know, messed up. Well, if I'm doing that, then that means that there's something in there that I need to address. There's something in that line that's just not working well. So then again, this is where we stay active. This is where we analyze what it is that we're doing. Right? Instead of just going to say, oh, well, let me look at that chart. What scale can I use? And I'm not saying that you're doing this, but you know what? Like this is where I was. You know, I was like, oh, well, what scale do I use? It says I could use that one, but it's not working. Just because it tells you what scale you can use, guess what? You could still use the scale so it sounds weird. You know? It's like if I do, so let me do this half whole diminished. I'm playing all the right notes, but the rhythm is all messed up, and you know the way I'm bringing in that left hand, you know, whereas there it sounds a lot better because now I'm actually thinking about how I'm utilizing that scale. So we need to shy away from just thinking what are the right notes and what are the right scales. And we instead need to think about, okay, so how am I using the scale? Where am I going? What am I trying to achieve? Where am I trying to go in my soloing? What is it that I'm trying to achieve intensity-wise? If I do something like this, I know that's going to build up some intensity right away because I have this small interval going up to that large interval like that. Right? So like, I'm going up to a high E flat. This. If I do stuff like that, I know it's going to be real biting. Right? So that's going to get a real bite to my improvisation. Whereas if I do something, you know, it's going to have more of a bebop-y kind of sound to it. Right? All right. So okay, we're at the end, right? I've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes and my voice is going to be shot and I need to save my voice for the rest of the sessions. I really appreciate a lot of you have hung with me for the whole session here, and I really appreciate you hanging with me. This is why I do it. I love to teach, I love sharing ideas, and I hope that you'll join me again Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also at 3 o'clock, and then also Saturday at 12 noon, all right? Hopefully Saturday won't have to change. There's something in the morning that I'm going to go to with my children and my wife, but I believe 12 o'clock will be fine. If that time has to change for any reason, we will notate it on the site. If it's a change, it would be like 12:30, okay? We will probably next week be posting links to these videos. You should be able to also on my Google Plus page be able to get this video at least. The other ones we'll have to see how they'll work out. And we may or may not do the YouTube one. We're going to check and see if we can do questions on the YouTube one. If we can't do questions, then we might just end up doing the same Google On Air one again. Okay? So anyway, thank you all very much for joining me. Remember, we got a lot of great specials going on. All of them are going to end on December 6th, so a week from this Friday. So if you're interested in studying with me, you're interested in the drum lessons, homeschool piano is a step-by-step. lesson. So if you want to learn piano right from the beginning, homeschool piano is great. We have a special for that going on. If you like this live training, please take a look at Piano with Willie Live, because that price will not be $19.95 after December 6th. Okay, so if you're interested in that, please take a look at that. Subscribe to that. All right, and we also have some membership specials. So as always, you can reach us, okay, at support@JAZZEDGE.com. So just go to support@JAZZEDGE.com. All right. JAZZEDGE. Support@JAZZEDGE.com. We will be here all day today. Today's Wednesday. We will not be here tomorrow at all. It is Thanksgiving. It's a federal holiday, so we will be out of the office. Friday, we'll be here from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturday, we will be here. We're normally not here on Saturday and Sunday, but this week is special. This Saturday, we will be here starting at 9 a.m. Or 10 a.m. We're still working that one up, but at least 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. So if you want to call, you have a question, we'll be here on Saturday to answer that question for you live. We'll also be doing this live training again on Saturday. And then we're back to Monday, which will be Cyber Monday, and then our office hours are back to 9 to 5 p.m. And just quickly, our phone number, if you want to call, 401-331-0000. All right? So again, thank you all very much for joining me for the live training, and I will see you on Friday for the next live training. We're going to pick another winner for our Skype lesson. So I hope you'll join me. If you haven't signed up on a Skype lesson, for the free Skype lesson, go back to HangWithWillie, H-A-N-G, with Willie, all right, .com, and then just fill out the form to the left of the video. All right, so anyway, see you guys on Friday. For those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, have yourself a wonderful, safe, happy, and joyous, and blessed Thanksgiving. I will be with my family, so I know I will have a wonderful day. Looking forward to it. So thank you all so much. I will see you soon.